Welcome back to Phalafel, the most mentally stimulating and thought-provoking podcast in the entire world. Today we had an absolutely epic episode. It's our season finale, first season. We're looking forward to do our second season. We talked some sensitive issues, and we sort of came to the conclusion that we're gonna get canceled regardless. We talked about our friend that's a hater. He's hating on us. I don't know what to say, but we'll get into it. It's a hot episode. Oh, okay.
All right. It is time for the season finale of Phalafel.
Wow.
How do you feel?
To be honest, Shrutik, it's been kind of hard out here.
Why is that?
We're getting a lot of haters, Shrutik.
Are we?
Yeah. I don't know how to say this, but on Phalafel, we want to be as vulnerable as possible.
Right.
We want to be as honest. We want to be as genuine as we can,
Yeah.
As developing adults, it's hard to take criticism. I don't want to think I'm wrong all the time. I want to think I'm doing something good. And the hate, oh my goodness, on the internet, people, the hate, it's terrible. I asked my friend the other day, hey, here, you know what? Hey, did you get a chance to check out the podcast? I would love your honest feedback. And he had the audacity.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, this was a great episode. Totally love the content. Huh? Clearly, he's just joking.
Yeah, clearly he's just joking.
Literally mocking us.
Yeah, he's trying to baby us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a lot of haters, but just keep putting stuff out there and something will come together. Good looks. He's hating, isn't he?
He's hating.
The hate on the internet, it's going insane.
Exactly.
Cancel culture.
Uh-huh. And, if you want to contact us, like how our friend contacted us,
You have to send us fan mail.
You have to send us fan mail at teamphalafel@gmail.com.
Now, this was a friend, so he texted me, and I was like, hey, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, because you have to maintain those relationships.
It was a little jab, like, okay, I'm not going to take your hate today.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to keep my mood up.
Mm-hmm.
Today's a positive day.
Exactly.
Good looks? Huh? What are you looking at?
That's what I'm saying.
Satan.
Okay.
Now,
Now,
obviously we're joking, but I actually did text one of my friends, and oh my God, he roasted me, bro.
Yeah, so obviously, we strive to get better.
Yeah.
No matter, because, we're still learning, we're still growing. And we obviously asked some of our friends for some feedback, and, here's what we got. So why don't you show them?
Yeah. So I text my friend, right? I'm like, I sent him our first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're doing our best here. We're trying.
Exactly.
And this man, right? I'm like, can you watch the podcast? The quality is so, and then he says a bad word.
Uh-huh.
Now, we're a family-friendly podcast, so we can't say this atrocious
Exactly.
word. It looks like you're from 2001. What?
What?
The decor, the lighting, the camera quality. Yeah, this has low quality. This looks like your little kids trying to make a podcast.
Huh?
Bro. I started crying right here.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
You act far too hyped. You need to calm another explicit word.
Exactly.
Okay, give me feedback at the end. I'm watching. You need to speak quietly and slowly. Oh my God, the language here is absolutely atrocious.
Exactly.
He's cussing us out, Shrutik.
Uh-huh.
This doesn't look professional at all. You guys are pointing at the set too much. The set shouldn't be part of the podcast, just a background. You should, you suck. The content also seems low-key boring. You guys seem so awkward. You have no energy. Everything seems so forced. Your body language is bad, both of yours.
Mm-hmm.
The discussion is mega boring.
Exactly. So
Now,
we looked at this episode, right? Or we looked at that feedback, and we wanted to try something new. Okay. We were like, you know what? Maybe he has a point.
Yeah.
Right. So today we're gonna be going off the cuff.
Yep.
We have less than 30 words on our notes document today.
We're freestyling. We're trying to get better, okay?
Exactly. So we're hoping to make this a show that you can watch with your family.
It is family friendly.
And giggle, laugh, chuckle, enjoy
but take
yourself.
away nuggets of wisdom.
Exactly. So I need to tell you a story.
What's up?
And tell you a story. I'm pointing at the camera for the viewers. Okay. So I was at the park engaging in affectionate activity with a woman that I dearly enjoy the company of. Right? Now, the amount of times we were interrupted by the same auntie who kept just walking by us every single time, giving us dirty looks, okay? So she pretended like she was on a phone call. Who has a phone call for 30 minutes, bro? Okay? So we were in the gazebo, okay? And she kept walking a straight line through that very same gazebo 4 to 5 times, bro. And each time she walked out of the gazebo, she just looked back at us, shook her head, and then did her lap around the park, walked through the gazebo again, looked at us, shook her head even more, and then left. So I was just thinking, what could possibly be the purpose, right? Because, we're just engaging in young love, teen romance.
Right.
It's like Twilight, but in real life.
But you're breaking every single rule in the book.
Well, yeah.
The traditional book, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, like why would you, pass through that park so many times just to see, the same sight over and over? So I thought it must have been one of two things, right? Either, walking through the gazebo was legitimately part of her walking path, right? That's one. The second thing is she was looking at us and she was reminded of how her husband used to treat her, but she doesn't receive that treatment anymore. So she was depressed and lonely. Now, I want to talk to you about loneliness and the idea of isolationism in this world, right?
The hatred.
The
cancel culture.
The isolation, the sadness, the despair.
Yeah.
I'm out of adjectives. Okay.
We're still studying for SAT.
Yeah. I have my ACT on the 18th, so help.
So, okay, you're breaking a lot of rules.
Mm-hmm.
You're being a little inappropriate.
And I wouldn't say inappropriate.
Yeah.
I was just saying, maybe
you made some accusations there about the wonderful woman's husband. Now, do you want to go approach them and ask them this question with me?
Wait, like how is your how's your intimate life?
Yeah, I'm down.
I'm not.
We're here to be transparent, remember? We're trying to explore everyone's life.
Exactly.
That's not good. Now,
yeah,
we talked about everyone hating us.
Exactly.
It's not going so great.
It's not going so great.
Most podcasts, I've heard, they stop at their 8th episode.
And we're only on our 6th.
We're on our 6th. So it could just be downhill from here,
Exactly.
We could just stop, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But we spent so much money on this set, bro. Like at this point, I kind of feel bad if I don't record.
Yeah, that was the point. You spend money, so you force yourself to do something.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
No, but we go, Joe Rogan's podcast, losing a lot of respect. Not going to lie.
Exactly.
A lot of people losing respect after his episode with Dan Crenshaw, and he had some hot takes on some political issues. Obviously, here we're an apolitical show. We're genuinely apolitical. But, Joe Rogan coming down. Guess who's coming up? Falafel. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Someone's got to take his spot. So, we're doing our best.
Yeah, we're doing our best. But, I think the main focus point of today's episode should really just be the lessons that we learned along the way. Not only when it comes to working on this project, but just projects in general, hard work, life, dedication, right? So I want to bring you back, right, to a time in your life when you just started high school, okay? Now, let me tell you something about my co-host, Mr. Desari, Lohith Desari. All right, this man's a freak.
What?
All right, he is unlike any high schooler I've ever met, okay? Okay, he's vegan. No religious sentiment. There's no religion behind that, okay? He's vegan for the sole reason that he would like to be vegan, right? That's one, okay? And you know what? Respect. Like he said it's a humanitarian thing. He wants to save the planet. He wants to save the animals, right? That's one, okay? So that, you know what? Oh, it's just, Bay Area high school liberal teen wanting to, stand out from the crowd. Okay, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Now, the other thing that he does is he wakes up at 5 a.m. willingly every single morning. Now, you might attribute to this as, oh, but he has swim practice. Oh, but he has commitments early in the morning. Right? But he does it. He does it on days where he doesn't have swim practice. I called him at 11 p.m. and he sounded like he was about to pass out. Okay?
I can't stay up late, bro. It's just I got used to it. It's no better than staying up late, waking up late, I don't think. It's based on the person.
Mm-hmm. So now I want you to discuss your mentality behind that, right? Lohith also omits himself from doing a specific activity that lots of young teenage boys engage in. Watching Netflix very late at night with lots of food, ordering pizza.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's vegan. He doesn't eat pizza.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like I went to a Boy Scout Eagle project, a gathering. Not really social distanced, even though most people are supposed to preface with that.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, they're like offering me pizza. I'm like, oh, I don't eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
They're all vegetarian. I don't eat cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Yeah, I just eat grass. That's just the joke I make now.
Exactly.
I only eat grass at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But you brought up being vegan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of vegans, they get kind of mad,
Mm-hmm. Do they?
I understand that. Like I genuinely do. When you go vegan and you start to watch these videos about like all the bad stuff that happens at factory farms, and like the blatant ignorance by some people, I can understand why people get mad. But I want to bring up a moral dilemma that can sort of address this anger. Okay.
Okay.
If you were to drive past a road with thousands of pools, okay, and in each pool there was a baby. Now, this is a hypothetical situation, and now I think I got this from a YouTuber, Cosmic Skeptic, okay, and he brings up a very good, and I want to elaborate on it. But basically, you're driving past thousands of pools. Now, every minute you spend saving babies, you lose $1,000.
Oh man.
So eventually, if you just keep saving babies, you're gonna lose your house, your car, your entire life. You're gonna be crippling debt.
Yeah, you're gonna be just like Joe.
You can't support your family. You can't do anything, right? Now
it's just like Joe. You know who Joe is?
I love Joe.
Really? Why don't you tell me who he is?
Joe Rogan?
No.
Okay.
Joe Mama.
Look,
that's a horrible joke. All right, continue.
Dude, okay. I mean, we are. Okay. So, how many babies would you save, Shrutik? How many babies would you save? If you want to be a Joe Mama, you gotta save some babies, okay?
Okay, look. I'm just gonna say that I only said that joke because they said that we had no humor, we had no synergy, we had nothing. So I felt this one's for you, Lohith's friend, who we sent episode 1.
Thank you.
That joke was for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many baby? I promise I'm gonna be serious. There's this. So how many babies would I save? Right now the question is, how much disposable income do I have, right?
Yeah.
I think the analogy that you're drawing here is like it's morality versus personal survival, right? Because it's like how much can you save? How much can you save others before it becomes negatively impacting yourself?
Exactly.
And I think when you take that analogy and you apply it to veganism, right? Because the thing is, veganism is also an expensive lifestyle.
Exactly.
Which turns a lot of people away from it. So when it comes to how many babies, or essentially how many times I would be able to contribute towards having a vegan lifestyle before it starts eating my pockets and my savings up, I think it's important to recognize how much you're able to essentially spend, whether it's your money, your energy, your mental, how much essentially you're able to contribute and spend towards that specific cause you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people fail to recognize is that you need to begin slowing it down or even bring it to a complete halt when it is completely unsustainable for yourself, right? Now, it's going to be unfortunate that, some of these babies are going to be stuck in that pool. But you also need to recognize that you don't want to become in a scenario where you're also going to be at mercy of the elements and at mercy of nature and essentially unable to protect yourself, right? So,
Like, for example, if there's a kid drowning in a lake, right, and you have your iPhone on you, you have like these sick pairs of new Jordans. You got the Louis Vuitton belt that you have on right now.
yeah.
Would you be morally obligated to save the kid, even if your iPhone gets damaged?
I mean, couldn't you just set your iPhone down on the shore and then?
I know, but it's a very stressful situation, and
Okay, so in this scenario, it's just assuming that my iPhone's just glued to my pocket or something.
yeah.
Now, the right thing to do is to save them, but I mean, my personal opinion,
You're gonna say no.
I mean, no, in my personal opinion, you're not obligated to help anybody
That's true.
in your life.
Now, that's the thing. Okay, there's this thing called the demandingness objection. How much can we be demanded of? For example, I think this is from Peter Singer, amazing philosopher. He says that essentially any money you spend is pretty much immoral. You still laughing about Joe?
Yeah.
But listen, if you buy a big house, you could have bought a smaller house and donated that money to charity, right? Now, wouldn't it be immoral to buy the big house then? Isn't it immoral? It's technically immoral to buy a razor because you could not shave and then just give that money to charity. But how much are we demanded of? Now, obviously, we can't save every baby. Maybe you could and just give up your entire life. But at the same time, we can't just drive past and just watch a mass genocide occur, right?
Yeah.
And, there has to be some balance there. And this is the thing. Like, if you're a vegan, now, I'm starting to think that you can't really impose these kinds of beliefs on other people because I'm immoral because I have an iPhone. Now, I could have just bought like a very bad phone. And I could have lived with that. But for my own pleasure, I decided to buy an iPhone. In the same way I buy nice clothes sometimes.
Yeah.
I attempt to. And I could just be naked. I could just wear like something that's very fit and that's socially acceptable, right?
Yeah, you could wear a towel everywhere you go.
Yeah, so technically I'm immoral. I could have just gave that money to charity. So in the same way...
Then wouldn't you be the person charity is helping?
No, but I would that would assume I'm getting like a good income.
Okay.
So I'm fine. But essentially what I'm trying to get at is that if you're saying that people who eat meat are immoral, but you are also immoral. Now, I'm sure that most people can afford being vegan. Most people, it's in that demandingness spectrum where they can just eliminate meat and it's okay. Now, if I'm immoral, let's say they don't do fast fashion. They don't do any AC or any of that, right? But let's say they do eat meat.
Okay.
So wouldn't morality be like a combination of all these things? You're not just immoral because you eat animals. You're not just moral because you're vegan. It's like a combination of all these things. So what I'm trying to get at is like, if you are vegan, which I am, and it's hard to say that you're as a whole person more moral because there's multiple factors that go into that.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really, really good conclusion that you brought in, right? I was thinking about another perspective to this idea that how much do we help or how much do we help others before it negatively impacts ourselves? Or rather, you could reframe that question as how much or to what extent should you help yourself before you can start helping others? Right? That's flipping the negative question to a positive one, right? So I want you to think about this concept, right? Of a person who essentially dedicates their own mental health towards solving the problems of others to the point where their mental health gets negatively impacted. Like, we all have that one friend in high school who's like, oh, I'll be your therapist. You can vent to me about anything. And then like, even though, they're able to, help others because, they help their friends vent and stuff like that. They're the ones with like probably the worst mental health out of like the group. And they're probably the ones who need like an actual therapist instead of like a high school
the
friend.
ones who suffer the most usually giving the most help.
Yeah. And I want you to, let's just think about that concept, right? Because I feel like innately human nature pushes others to kind of help others, depending on like the environment that you live in, right? Like in the environment we live in, qualities such as selflessness, qualities such as kindness to others are like highly praised, while qualities such as being like minding your own business, staying in your own lane, that's not really as rewarded in our society. And I'm not saying our society as in society in general, but like literally like mine and your society, like where we live. And I think there's like a lot of factors that actually contribute to that, right? For example, let's think about the socioeconomic conditions of like the place we live in, right? We live in a pretty, upscale neighborhood. We're like we're pretty solidly upper middle class. We have access to a great education, lots of beautiful parks, facilities, our sidewalks are clean, stuff like that, right? Like we're pretty much, the gated community. We're the people who people laugh at.
We're well off.
Yeah, we're well off, right? And being in a well-off scenario allows you to be more selfless, or at least promote the ideals of selflessness, because you have the resources to do so, right? Now, in a place like I don't know, like Oakland or Detroit or even like some parts of the Bronx, right? You're facing places with a much less, a much lower median income. You're facing places which have been, historically, gentrified and historically just, taken has opportunities taken away from them. And you'll notice in those places, people tend to be like a little more selfish. They're more worried about, taking care of themselves and their family. And that's simply because they just lack the resources to do so. So I think I feel like the pattern here that we can really begin to identify in society is that as you move farther up like the income level, the more encouraged you are to give.
That's a very controversial statement because of like the capitalist society we live in, right?
Yeah, and I was about to say that because that brings up like the problem of like, well, then how come billionaires continue to exploit like the poor? Oh, Jeff Bezos is going to come after me after I said that. We were just talking about some stuff that you either strongly agree with or strongly disagree with. But regardless of your opinion on the subject, I need to introduce you to the greatest opportunity you will ever learn. Okay? Next generation nations.
Yes, sir.
As usual, none of the stuff that we discuss on the podcast relates to any of their personal opinion. But we are blessed enough to have this sponsor, moving us forward, enabling this. Look at this set. Isn't it beautiful? Made possible by Next Generation Nations. Now, I want you to zoom this camera in on me, okay? I need you to just think about your life, okay? Your experiences, all right? Now, I know that you've had an idea that you've just wanted to bring to life. Wow. That you want to save the world, okay? This idea is going to
empower women,
empower the world, empower your pet dog, okay? Now, NGN has 21 goals. Not 9, not 10, not even 11, but 21. And these goals are designed to help empower yourself and empower your organization to be brought to the next level. If you want to learn more about NGN, peep ngn.org, www.ngn.org to learn more. Start your own chapter in your high school or college today and have access to the world-renowned NGCC, Next Generation Nations Global Challenges Conference, to get the seed money to bring your org to life. We aim to empower you.
How can NGN help our viewers?
NGN can help our viewers?
Well, what's the direct benefit?
The direct benefit?
Because we're here to help our viewers.
Exactly. The direct benefit to you is you get to have a company or an organization or a nonprofit or legislation or pretty much anything you want. And you just get to bring it to life NGN supports you from start to finish, just like how Phalafel will support you from start to finish.
Get into college, boys.
Get into college.
And girls and everyone else.
Oh, wait, get into college and get more knowledge. Back to the episode.
Well, okay. If someone has a large amount of money and they're not giving it away. Now, there are some billionaires who genuinely give back to the community, right?
Yeah.
In massive ways, such as Bill Gates, Melinda Foundation. I've heard that he used predatory business practices, but it could be society. Okay, this is the way I look at it. And this is what the video was, I think, trying to get at too. A lot of these things are morally virtuous, but they're not morally obligatory. It's not morally obligatory for you to give up all the benefits you have to help someone else, right? It's not morally obligatory for you to give away your house because someone doesn't have a house. Now, it's morally virtuous. It really is. And, a lot of people who, land right on certain economic issues would be like, it's immoral to take money away from the wealthy. Now, what I think is some people forget to think about the distribution of wealth that went up in the first place. It went from down to up, right? So technically it would just be redistribution, but initially it was redistributed as well. But what I'm trying to get at, and I want to bring this back to abortion. Now, this is a very, very, very controversial topic. And I want to sort of, the babies, surprisingly analogous situation. If, let's say, I've heard of this argument called a violinist argument. Let's say you wake up one day and you're hooked to someone else. This person's like a violinist or something, right? And basically they're literally living off your body, right? You wake up and they're living off your body. And if you choose to leave, they're going to die. Now, to me, it would be morally virtuous to stay there and just give away your body, right? But in no way I would say it's morally obligatory, because the implications of that are huge in society. Like, basically, it would be a utilitarian framework where people could just like steal kidneys for certain patients who need them. Like, doctors could just like take organs in case they needed them, right? But I think it's morally virtuous to just sit there and let the other person have your body. Now, that is an analogous situation to abortion, where the baby is essentially taking your resources. And wouldn't it be morally virtuous to keep the baby alive? Perhaps it's not morally obligatory. Now, this is all purely speculation. I don't have a strong stance on abortion.
I mean, okay, I personally, I don't feel
that would be pro-choice. That would be pro-choice.
I mean, I think, I just want to preface this by saying that I feel like it's a woman's decision what she does. Because, I mean, although there are, usually two parties to the creation, or there are always almost two parties to the creation of a child. The woman is the one carrying it, and the woman is the one whose life is put in danger.
Yeah, but let's take this away from like the very political aspect. But let's just say it's not even just the woman; it's just the person in general who's giving their life resources away.
I mean, no, because if you flip that on its head, right? Then you could say, isn't it morally like bad for the violinist to sap the other person of their resources? And as such, wouldn't it be morally virtuous for the violinist to let the other person go?
Yeah, but they're not. So it's just your decision now. Just similar to how the baby can't just let go of you. And it's also not the baby's choice to be in that position, right?
I mean, I guess
that's why it's like, right? regardless of if the baby's living or not, which is a very, very hard question to answer. Like, it's a very deep philosophical question. Is a fetus alive? All these things. Where does life start? Very difficult question to answer. But regardless of that, we're not, like, in society, we're not obligated to give away our resources to the people who need them more, even if they're living. Like, the violinist is a full-grown person, and we're still not obligated to give them our resources. So it's the same thing as a fetus, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see the analogy there. Honestly, my genuine opinion is just like when you give your resources to someone else, you're doing that out of the goodness of your heart. And if you're genuinely unable to, then you should probably stop.
I see.
Because I mean, there comes a point where you also need to recognize that if the resources that you are giving are like like if the resources that you are given are going to be like a horrendous condition and could arguably lead the saved subject into a life that is worse than just ending it right there, then you could be in a position there. So like let me give you an example, right? So one could argue that a garbage life is better than death. I personally think that there are some existences that are worse than death.
Wow. So would you advocate for like killing those people?
No, I wouldn't. But I don't advocate for the death of anybody. I just think that you need to think about if you actively support someone's, continual existence with the giving of your resources, then you are obligated to essentially full send it. Like don't essentially just don't do it halfway, if that makes sense, right?
I see.
So
yeah, that's very
like the resources that you're giving to that person better be good resources. If you can't give them good resources, then don't attach yourself to that responsibility.
That's a very tough question. Like, do we bring in people who we know will suffer into this world?
Yeah, like I mean,
because it's not their decision to come to life, right?
Yeah, in my opinion, like if you, for example, like if you bring say you have like a pet, right, like a pet dog. If you don't even have like a house, or if you have like a 1-room house and your house is getting shot up every single day and you're barely surviving in that world, and you can't even pay your own rent, and you have to skip 3 meals per week, and you're barely living, maybe getting a pet dog isn't a good idea.
Right.
Because now that dog is also going to be in a house that gets shot up 3 times a day.
But in that situation, let's say the dog can't go anywhere else, and if you just didn't take care of it, it would die.
I mean, there's the potential.
Like, would that existence of being in that bad house be better than just dying? And that's a tough question.
I mean, with the dog, I mean, honestly, like that is a tough question. I don't know if I have the answer to that.
Yeah.
But all I will say is that it's better for you to just not have that responsibility in general, because you don't want to be the savior of everybody. No one person, unless they're literally just like blessed with every single gift in the world, you can't save everybody, in my opinion.
But should that be the goal? Like Peter Singer, he said this on a podcast, I think. Like the moral truths that we sort of agree on, like the subjective moral truths, such as like, if you have a lot, you should give to the poor, right? Are independent of how much we adhere to them. And that's very interesting to me. Like, if we know something's just moral and we don't do it, then what are we following? Emotion? Like, for example, a lot of people would just know that eating an animal is wrong. Now, some people have good arguments for why eating an animal is okay, and they'll live by those arguments. But then there's people who just know that eating an animal is wrong, and then they'll just still do it. Now, that's very, very interesting to me. Like, what are they adhering to if it's not a moral truth that they know?
I think it's self-preservation.
So does preservation go beyond morals? Obviously.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's based on the idea of, I mean, if you really think about it, like we all really adhere to just like a hierarchy of needs that we just met. I mean, I'm not gonna. We've now discussed Maslow on like three separate episodes, so I'm not gonna have Lohith pull up a graphic here. I might have our editor do it in post. If our editor's gonna do it in post, he's gonna do it right now. But pretty much, what people really look for is they're looking for their basic needs to be met before they start contributing towards society, right? Now, the thing is, I feel like one's perception of what basic needs are vary from person to person.
But remember how we talked about basic needs? What if your basic needs are prevented by society? I remember that clean your room before you fix society. What if society is preventing you from cleaning your room?
Well, I mean, in that case, you might just want to like disconnect from society. I mean, I don't really see a scenario where that ever happens because the thing is, society doesn't.
Well, okay. Like someone who's very impoverished, you could work hard and get out of it potentially. Now, I think that places too much of an emphasis on free will and all that, but you can't just say like, okay, I have to make a good income and then I can start to advocate for Black Lives Matter, right?
Mm.
Perhaps you say like, okay, Black Lives Matter is one of the racism is one of the reasons why I'm in this situation, or classism, right? And then you change society that way. If we put an emphasis on, okay, you need to fix your life before you can even think about helping anyone else, maybe helping other people is a way to fix your life. Now, I understand social interactions are different than like government and systemic structures. Like, I also agree that someone shouldn't try and help their friends if they don't have their own stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you know?
Well, I think, also issues or partaking in social movements like that don't really actively detriment your well-being. Now, obviously, there are key exceptions, right? Like, for example, like, there's been like BLM rallies that have been, shot up by the police because, apparently peaceful protesting isn't allowed in America. But my point is that like for like expressing your support for a movement, like, there's lots of performative activists, right? For like BLM, Protect Asian Lives, stuff like that. Those are performative activists who just post on their Instagram stories and move on, right? They don't really do anything to like actually support the movement. Things like that, when it doesn't actively put you in jeopardy, doesn't really require any prerequisites to be met. Prerequisites being how much money you make, how much essentially what your overall security is like.
But you're saying if we don't have our own stuff together, we can't even advocate for those stuff.
I mean, I don't think it's once again, it's not a black and white thing, right?
I see.
Essentially, you need to evaluate how much you're able to give, right? The thing is, there's a certain level of support that is, I think, deemed significant in specific scenarios, right? So if we go back to the initial analogy of, there's 100 babies drowning in a pool, and each time you save them, $1,000 goes away, right? Now let's modify that scenario to where there's 100 babies drowning in a pool, and each time you save a baby, you're forced to take care of it, right? Now let's pretend that I'm married, no children, and I have like a good income, and I'm theoretically able to support a child, right?
One child.
Now, if I save one baby, I now have one child under my roof, right? And if I save another one, the resources given to that first child will likely diminish, and because I'll have to split it with the second child, then so on with third, fourth, fifth, right? Now, there's going to be a threshold, which is probably going to be like by the fifth or sixth child, my income isn't going to be able to support them. I'm not going to be able to pay for college. I'm not going to be able to give them a life that they likely deserve. And by the time I get to the 20th or 30th child, I can't even guarantee that I'm going to have food on their table. Now, instead of dying by drowning in a pool, they're going to be dying of starvation.
Yeah, it seems like money is the answer to a lot of things. Like, even if you're looking from a selfless point of view, like, okay, I need to take care of my children. Like, relationships, at least under capitalism, seem to be like commodified almost. Like, you need to, okay, this child takes this amount of money. This child takes this amount of money. That's pretty wild, bro. Like, that makes me think I need to make a lot of money just to, sustain a family in a good way. Like, a lot of money, not even just like a baseline amount of money. Like, okay, you want to go to a good college? I should be able to pay for the entirety of that, right? That's a scary thing.
It is scary. And that's why like a lot of people are just afraid of commitment in general, because it's just like, the amount of responsibilities associated with committing to like a specific thing can be scary to deal with, right? So, I mean, let's think about like the entire like abortion issue, right? Like, whenever a woman does an abortion, she doesn't do it for fun. She does it because, or I guess they do it. A person who can get pregnant, they do it because they know that they're they're literally unable to support this child. And if they were to support this child, it would be more than likely that both the child and the mother would be in like a life-threatening situation, right? And they don't do it for fun. And there's lots of, negative emotional tolls that like a woman undergoes and stuff like that. And for that reason, like I believe like that's why I personally am pro-choice, because I can't actively force someone to undertake a responsibility which will both negatively impact themselves and the thing that they're responsible towards.
Now, the counter argument to that is like, there's no circumstance or like hardship that would outweigh the worth of a life. And we just discussed, like, that's absolutely not true. Like, if there's a kid who's dying on the street, like, even most people wouldn't even say they're morally obligated to help that child, right? Like, let's say you were late for like your life-changing meeting and there's just a kid who broke his leg. Most people wouldn't even say they're morally obligated to help that child. I would say it's morally virtuous, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously we don't just, our circumstance is not, like, there are hardships that certainly outweigh the life of a person. At least that's the way our society operates. Maybe it shouldn't, but that's just the way. The implications of saying we should help everyone that is suffering is huge. Like, we would all literally live in like a communist state where everything is equal.
I mean, in theory, communism isn't a bad idea. In theory.
Now, we know you're a commie, Shrutik.
My God.
You've been in a little rambunctious, little political this episode, but.
Hey man, look, I just don't want Joseph McCarthy coming out. Like,
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but I think one of the key takeaways, let's bring it back to the first analogy. The key takeaway is balance. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the key takeaways we always get. From the demanding and subjection, we can't save everyone, but we can't just live by ourselves, right?
Yeah.
There should be some balance where we find a healthy way to help others and help ourselves.
So it's reasonable to say that as long as you essentially secure your own needs, that's when you can start helping others.
Yeah, maybe not even, just to find some sort of balance that you think is healthy, but it's also helping other people. It's hard for me to live a life where I'm only dedicated to other people. Mm-hmm. That seems like something that's very difficult to do.
Yeah, like I couldn't be a public servant, honestly.
It's hard, and I respect that so much. Like, you just lose yourself for other people. Mm-hmm. Maybe as I mature and we're not young developing adults, we'll be able to think higher, Shrutik.
Yes. I'm sure as we grow and mature, we'll be able to come with like actual takes when it comes to this sort of stuff.
I think that was a pretty good take, bro. That abortion thing, I kind of came up on my own.
Hey man, look, all I'm saying is that I'm just not trying to end up on Twitter. On the Twitter.
No, you're good.
But literally, like, all I'm trying to say is that you have a personal. I think the only moral obligation that you can really force upon yourself is a moral obligation to live a life that you deem fit, and that you're satisfied with. Now, I feel like my personal definition for this, and I'm not saying this applies to everybody, but my personal definition of living of having a moral obligation to myself means just being able to look at myself in the mirror and know that I'm a good person and I've done the right things in my life.
What you think is a good person.
Yeah, what I think is a good person.
And that's all that matters.
And as long as you're able to like essentially just know that you're not causing any unnecessary suffering to yourself and to others, and that you're learning and you're growing and you're being like an actively you're actively shaping your own future. I think that's pretty much the key takeaway.
Yeah. All right. Good episode. Quick one,
Yeah, a little shorter.
We're gonna get better, bro. We're gonna find out the answer to the meaning of life.
Exactly.
And my one friend out there.
Mm-hmm. I hope this was charismatic enough for you.
We're gonna get better. Okay.
Okay.
As we put out more stuff, we're trying to get better. This is our first season, so.
That sounds way more bitter than it is, but
no, we're joking. We love doing this. We're obviously we love talking about philosophy, mm-hmm. and
yeah,
we spent too much money that we can't stop at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that it's a very effective way to pull in another person and get them to work for you.
Yeah, but I mean, before we wrap up this episode, I just want to take a minute to just be like a little more, down to earth, a little heartfelt. So Falafel was actually started off of a whim. I didn't even know Lohith. This was actually my very first interaction with him. I was on a call with my friend, and I'd never met this guy before. And literally we interacted very slightly, and then he just hits me up randomly. You want to start a podcast together? And I didn't realize it was going to be like, this deep. We actually have 4 to 5 unreleased episodes that were recorded on Zoom and then recorded at my house, and then we changed sets to here. The first 2 episodes, I believe, were recorded at my place. But then after that, episodes 3 and then onward, we're recording our, new studio.
Right.
That's just Lohith's house. But, we upgrade. We're continually upgrading. And, I think Falafel is just a really great way for us to, learn.
We're here to learn with you guys.
Yeah,
we get takes together. We're still 2 idiot high schoolers, but we're doing our best to learn with you guys. And, I think we have some pretty cool discussions.
Yeah. And I mean, just judging off, some of the sensitivity of our latest episodes, I just want to state that, I really want to emphasize the fact that, we're going to learn, we're going to change over time. And if we say anything you don't agree with, that's fine. You don't need to agree with us.
Just let us know, though.
But just let us know what your thoughts are,
I'm trying to get more hate so I can grow as a person. Apparently, hatred makes you grow as a person. That's what I heard, but,
So if you have any feedback, this is where I segue into the conclusion.
Yeah.
If you have any feedback or if you like our show, we love you.
Yeah,
Thank you for watching the very first season of Falafel. We're going to be grinding even harder to make season 2 even stronger. We're going to be bringing in guests.
Yep.
We're going to implement our soundboards. We have laugh tracks. We're going to have intro. We're going to have dedicated intro music.
Yep.
We're going to have explosions, fireworks.
It's going to be wild.
We're going to be having clips put up on this thing of our real life adventures.
Yeah.
And we're going to be bringing this show to the next level.
You're never going to see a philosophy show like this.
Yeah.
Guys. It's just going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. So, you know what to do, man. I'm Shrutik.
Lohith.
And you just watched Falafel. If you want to reach out to us, any feedback, any love, any fan mail,
come on,
any criticism, your thoughts on an episode, anything in the world, just check us out at teamphalafel@gmail.com. Peep our social medias. Everything is at Team Falafel, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're popping. We're famous. We're not famous.
We're not famous.
But we'll be famous if you guys help us out.
We're gonna replace Joe Rogan. That's what I was praying, and that's what God told me.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, look, we love you guys. Thank you so much for rocking with our first season, and we will catch you in season 2.
Peace.
I should quit chasing and look for something better, but the smile that she shows makes me a go-getter.